In ancient Indian history, one title is reserved for the peak of imperial power, Chakravarti Samrat, the King of Kings. Emperor Ashoka held this title. He was the third ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. His grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya, founded the empire, and his father, Bindusara, expanded it. Stepping onto that throne came with a specific job description. The Mauryan dynasty was built on relentless expansion, and the new emperor was expected to continue that violent tradition. Ashoka's early reign followed this exact blueprint. His identity as a ruler was entirely shaped by the aggression of his ancestors, leaving absolutely no room for hesitation or mercy. Under Ashoka's command, the empire grew to an enormous scale. Looking at this map, you see the Mauryan borders pushing north into the Hindu Kush Mountains and stretching east to modern Bangladesh. The territory then drops south to the Godavari River and pushes far west into Afghanistan. Holding borders this massive across such diverse terrain required a constant reliance on military force and the perpetual threat of armed conflict. In 261 BCE, that reliance on military force reached its peak with the outbreak of the Kalinga War. The human toll of this conflict was staggering. Approximately 100,000 people were killed in the fighting. The Kalinga region was entirely devastated. The massacre did not distinguish between soldiers and civilians, leveling communities and destroying the local infrastructure. Standing in the middle of that localized destruction, the emperor experienced a severe psychological crisis. What was a total military triumph on paper became a horrific reality to witness in person. Rather than celebrating the victory, Ashoka was consumed by what the ancient texts call glani, a deep, overwhelming sense of remorse and guilt over the carnage. In a highly unusual move for an ancient head of state, he officially renounced the use of armed conflict. The empire formally abandoned Bharigosha, which translates to the declaration of war, and adopted Dhammaghosha, the declaration of peace. Following the Kalinga War, Ashoka personally adopted Buddhism and dedicated the rest of his life to spreading its teachings. He developed a policy called Dhamma. This was not a strict religious dogma forced on his subjects, but a universal moral code meant to guide the behavior of all citizens. The core pillars of Dhamma included ahimsa, or nonviolence, along with basic compassion, religious tolerance, and respect for elders. Empathy became official state policy. This pivot immediately changed Mauryan foreign policy. The empire stopped dispatching legions of soldiers across its borders and started sending emissaries of peace. Ashoka even enlisted his own royal family for this diplomatic mission, sending his son Mahendra and his daughter Sanghamitra south to Sri Lanka. Their objective was not to claim territory or extract resources. They were sent strictly to share the ethical guidelines and philosophical messages of Buddhism with foreign populations. By utilizing diplomacy rather than weapons, Ashoka gained a level of international cultural influence that his armies could never have secured by force. When we look at Ashoka's historical title of the Great, we have to ask what actually earned him that label. He inherited massive physical borders through violence, but he established enduring ideological borders through peace. The Mauryan Empire eventually collapsed, but Ashoka's legacy survived through the physical monuments of tolerance he built, which still serve as symbols today. Ashoka's most lasting victory was the moral conquest of his own ambition, securing his place as a uniquely powerful figure in human history.